Fantasy Footballers Podcast, coming to you from Draft.com Studios, with your hosts, Andy Holloway, Jason Moore, and Mike Wright.
Welcome! Whoa! Welcome in! Philadelphia, you showed up. You showed up.
They heard.
Now, we took a very interesting beginning to this tour. Welcome into the Fantasy Footballers Podcast. Andy, Mike, and Jason live in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Now, we went to Minneapolis, and they didn't like you. And we went to Dallas, and they didn't like you either. And so, I expect.
Whoa!
I expect you to represent in the mailbag drop.
Yes.
Better than they did. Is that fair? Can we get a better mailbag drop? So be ready. Be ready for that. We have a great show today. We are going to be getting into the top fantasy storylines for 2018. So it's going to be great. We're going to talk through a ton of stuff on the show. You're going to get smarter. You're going to win again. It's good to be champs, Mike. It's good to be champs. I'm surprised they need seats. I expected them to just be levitating above the crowd.
I just wish I knew what it felt like.
I know. So, no, we're going to have some fun on the show today. I'm excited. As always, you can follow us on Twitter at the FF Ballers, the unverified one at FF Hitman.
The man of the people. Thank you.
You got that underdog mask on, right?
Fair enough.
And you can follow Jason at JasonFFL. I'm at Andy Holloway. I'm excited. Let's get this thing going.
Whoa.
Well, a quick question, Mike.
Right. This is usually the part of the show where we do the quick question, but I'm going to let you in on a little secret, Philadelphia. We're upstairs. We're in the green room.
Yeah.
An argument.
It's very warm.
An argument breaks out between myself and this character over here. We're talking about a player, a wide receiver. His name is Josh Gordon.
Yeah.
And look, the way that Jason is valuing this player, there's really no other way to put it, but it's criminal.
Oh, it's criminal?
It's criminal. It is against the law. And when things are going in a lawful direction, there's only one place I can take him, and that's take him to fantasy court.
The Fantasy Court with Judge Giamatti.
The plaintiff, Mike the Fantasy Hitman Wright, is accusing Jason Moore of criminally undervaluing Joshua Gordon with 2 counts of sedition and defamation of character.
That's right, Your Honor. Your Honor, I need to bring something to your attention.
This is serious.
This man over here. I want to talk about Josh Gordon and how he doesn't believe. He's not valuing him properly. It's making me mad, and we gotta get a resolution.
You need a ruling.
We need a ruling. We need
a verdict.
We need a verdict. And Your Honor, before I jump into something, I need to enter some evidence.
Oh no, Mike is reaching for some evidence. Oh dear. Oh, other way, Mike. Other way, Mike.
So, I need to enter this into evidence. Exhibit
compelling,
A.
Very compelling.
Look, I've pulled out a picture of Josh Gordon. Exhibit A, abdominals.
Yes, I can see them.
Exhibit B, biceps.
Whoa.
Bulging biceps. Exhibit C, his chest.
So far, so good.
Exhibit D.
Oh, objection! This is a family show, Mike. I object.
Sustained.
I was just going to bring up the deltoids.
Yeah.
Look,
So you have a big picture of Josh Gordon, and that is your compelling statistical evidence?
I've got more.
Okay.
I sure hope so. You're going to need
Because
it.
I'm going to say this, candidly, Jason he's been ready to go.
Oh, I mean, my case is just the
The
truth.
Jackie Childs of fantasy court.
I've just started. Here's the deal. Josh Gordon had not played professional football in 3 years. His first game back, he drops 4 for 85. Pretty good game for fantasy. And who was he playing against? He was playing against Casey Hayward, the #1 rated cornerback from Pro Football Focus. And I'm not talking by a small margin. A wide gap separated Casey Hayward from Jalen Ramsey, A.J. Bouye. It doesn't matter who I name because they're all behind Casey Hayward. He was #1. Gordon immediately commanded a 25% target share in his 5 games. 3 of his 5 games, over 20 yards of reception. We're talking about Josh Gordon, my man. Look,
What about Landry?
order.
Order!
Thank you, Judge. Look, Josh Gordon, he had a couple down games, but like I said, he was coming off of the street. He hadn't played in 3 years. He scored amongst the tops of all wide receivers in Matt Harmon's reception perception in both man and zone coverage. And he did all of his damage with Deshaun Kaiser as his quarterback. He was the wide receiver 20 in the games that he played. You want to talk about a quarterback? Tyrod Taylor. He's the new signal caller for the Cleveland Browns. In 2015, there was a wide receiver that played for Tyrod Taylor in a shortened year. In 12 games of production, this wide receiver put up a line of 60 for 1,047 yards and 9 touchdowns. 7 games of 80-plus yards, a touchdown in 7 of 12 games. Of course, we know that wide receiver was Sammy Watkins. Similar skill set to Josh Gordon. My closing statement for Josh Gordon: he ain't no Zay Jones.
Whoa.
All right.
Few are.
Now let's talk about the truth. Okay, I will grant you that photograph is very impressive. But let me ask you this. No.
He's tainting the jury.
All right. I need to call a witness to the stand.
Wait, no, whoa, hold on, erroneous.
This witness's name is Mike Wright.
Oh, I'm here.
Okay. Tell me something. What player would you say has the best biceps in the league?
Best biceps in all the league?
Best biceps.
Well, he might be suspended now because his biceps are so good, but that's Bobby Turbin.
Robert Turbin?
Yeah, bicep Bob.
So because he's so physically fit, we should draft him, right? No.
He's suspended. That's the only reason I don't want Bob Turbin on my team.
Okay, so here's the actual...
You call him Bob, too.
Look, second round pick. I would take him, but he's suspended.
Yeah. Here's the reality with Josh Gordon's situation. First of all, he has a rookie quarterback coming in, and you like Baker Mayfield, right?
Love him.
You love him. So I went back and I looked at who had some of the best rookie quarterback seasons, right? I'm talking top 10 since 2000 in passing attempts, played all 16 games. Guys like Derek Carr, Jameis Winston, Andy Dalton. They've been successful quarterbacks. If I took an average of their top 10 passing attempts, and I give half the year to Baker Mayfield, and I give the other half to Tyrod Taylor, we don't know who's going to be the quarterback, which is really good for drafting their wide receiver, right? Like, I don't know who's throwing him the ball, but whatever. I want to make a good case for Josh Gordon. So I'm going to go ahead and use...
I don't believe you.
I'm going to go ahead and use
a lie.
Tyrod Taylor's career high in passing attempts, along with those other top passing attempts from rookie quarterbacks. I'm going to put those together, and you know what you get? You get 493 passing attempts. That is okay, but it's not great. Now let's think, okay, well, what's his target share going to be? You said he got 25% of the target share last year. That's an unbelievably great number, except some smart person out there said, what about Landry? And not just Landry.
What about him?
What about David Njoku? What about...
I don't see any pictures of them.
Corey Coleman. What about Duke Johnson? Thank you. Duke Johnson lovers are everywhere. But here's what I'm going to do, Mike.
Okay, keep it up.
Okay, for the people, I'm still going to give him a great target share. I'm going to give him 20%. Okay, that's what Doug Baldwin got, and he was the clear-cut number one. That's what
he's doing you so many favors, Mike.
Oh, I'm really making your case for you here. The guys that are at 20% are incredibly powerful. Devontae Adams, Tyreek Hill, Doug Baldwin. Those are clear-cut ones. Now, I don't think he finishes at 20%. He's probably more like 18%, which would be like Marvin Jones, Stefon Diggs. But I'll give you the 20. And I'm going to give you the best pass percentage of those guys and give them a 60% completion rate. So we've seen the math. I know you've stuck with me through this boring math problem.
Yeah, but nerd
alert. Do you want to know how many receptions that would be just by math?
Just by math. So many other ways to come up with those numbers, but go with the math.
Okay. It would be 59 total receptions.
Okay.
Did he pick up 12? Oh, I can't talk. I forgot. I'm not allowed to talk.
So here's the thing. Last year, if you want a wide receiver under 60 receptions that did well, there was one. His name was Alshon Jeffrey.
Whoa! Whoa!
And he did that on the back of 9 touchdowns, which I'm going to go out on a limb here and say the Eagles' offense slightly better than the Browns' offense. We'll score more
I know what
points.
you're doing right now.
So my point is the ceiling is already capped with Gordon, and that was in a good situation. What happens if things don't go his way?
But it's the
Josh
Browns.
Gordon
They're going to go his
is
way.
Criminally overvalued right now, and I rest my case.
All right. What do we think? He's kept a very stoic face, by the way.
The fantasy court rules in favor of Mike Wright.
Yeah!
Wow. Give the judge a round of applause. We've lost Jason.
It's fine. The show's better. Let's move on without him.
He didn't even win with the pandering.
You're dead to me!
That's very difficult, by the way, to sit here and just listen and not contribute and not make the case. But I think I sided with Mike as well.
Mm-hmm.
That's fine. You guys also at the end of... I made this case towards the draft season last year. Same exact thing. I looked at the numbers, the target share, about a player we all liked early on, and then I said, no, I'm off of Terrell Pryor.
Oh, yeah.
How did Terrell Pryor do last year?
Dumpster fire!
Yeah, go ahead. Draft Josh Gordon, especially if you're in a league with me.
All right, Mike, how does it feel to finally be a champion?
Feels great. It feels great.
Storylines for 2018.
Here's a story
Feels good.
of 2018.
All right, 6 big storylines. We want to capture what we think will consume fantasy owners for the better portion of 2018, help answer some of these questions. The big one is, better luck next time. We're talking about the health. Nope, not Ray Rice. We're talking about the health.
Whoa! Oh!
Talking about the health of Andrew Luck.
No!
All right, so here's the simple question as I knock your mic over. What happens if he's healthy? What happens if Andrew Luck is healthy? What are the implications of a healthy Andrew Luck? All signs point to him throwing real footballs. We met with some Foot Clan members before the show.
Yes.
And all the research we've done, all the models we've looked at, we realized that quarterbacks, when they play, better for fantasy.
Many more points.
More points than if they don't. So what happens if he's healthy? What happens if he's a healthy Andrew Luck for this year? What are you looking at?
So for me, you got to look at the facts of what Andrew Luck has done. And Andrew Luck is great. Andrew Luck has been a sensational fantasy quarterback. But the bigger question for us, for fantasy players, the supporting cast. And here's the actual truth for Andrew Luck and what he has supported. He has supported a top 18 wide receiver or better. In 3 or 4 years, he had a wide receiver 1 on his team. We're talking T.Y. Hilton, who gets a huge, huge bump if Andrew Luck happens to play. But That's where it tops out.
And that's it.
And this is where people get really, really excited about Andrew Luck. Colts, high-scoring offense. T.Y. Hilton's back. Wide receivers up the wazoo.
Ryan Grant has arrived.
That's Ryan Grant. Yeah.
No, but I see it on Twitter.
But-
People want to know, is he a
yes.
flyer?
But here's the deal. Only one time has Andrew Luck, when he's playing, had a top 20 running back on his team. And that was the Infinity Stone. Frank Gore was running back 12. The wide receiver, too, not pretty. His rookie season, he had some good wide receivers, including Reggie Wayne, who at that time had become his wide receiver, too. For fantasy, wide receiver 31. You're talking an average finish. The second wide receiver for the Colts when Andrew Luck is playing, an average finish, wide receiver 65.
That's bad.
It's 10 over where I wanted it to be. But I can't. But I cannot fudge it. Are we going with it?
No, we're not going with it.
Oh.
I just remembered I need to be ready for those moments.
You certainly do. He's had a top 14 tight end, though, 3 times. So that's
You hear that? You hear that, Jason?
Eric Ebron.
No.
Woo.
So
Is it hot?
Where's your Hebron picture?
So that's the truth about Andrew Luck. We automatically assume a prolific quarterback comes back and everyone's going to get better, and we can be hopeful.
Let me piggyback, because you brought up the running backs,
Yes.
and I know he hasn't sustained a great running back. But to me, his health means hope for
Yes.
the running game in general. I don't
Yes.
see any hope for them with that Andrew Luck, because the offense can be good enough to get them in a position where maybe it's Jordan Wilkins and he's a steal of your fantasy draft, or maybe Nyheim Hines gets involved more than we think.
Or Bob Turbin.
Oh, he'll be back.
Yeah,
he'll be back.
Or the Mac attack. You know, maybe your guy, he shows up. So the thing is you need hope out of that backfield. And if the offense can't move the ball, this is going to be, they're in a competitive division. So they'll be in the basement, and I won't be excited about the running game if Andrew Luck's not healthy.
The one thing I will say for the Colts this year, because I've been the most anti-believing that Andrew Luck is
So anti-believing.
is back. I really hesitate. Even now he's still saying I'm sore, but not as sore as I was. And it's like just be better. It's been 2 years.
He's doing his best.
But I actually do think I like drafting the Colts this year. I like drafting Luck, T.Y. Hilton, because all the way up to your draft, people still will have a little bit of uncertainty, which will push the price down. And should Andrew Luck not be healthy, and this is kind of my take on the opposite question.
yeah,
what if
let's
he's-
go to that. What happens if he's not healthy?
What if he's not? They will be better offensively and for fantasy this season than they were last season. I think that the change of coach going to Frank Reich, how did Frank Reich do for you guys?
You are the worst.
Don't worry, he'll get his hate.
I will not be pandering to this crowd all night. But my point is, they've got a good offensive mind there. And, T.Y. Hilton finished 25th last season without Andrew Luck. So I am willing to draft all Colts, and I think they're probably going to be a value. And by all Colts, I mean Marlon Mack, T.Y.
You're saying
Hilton.
even if he's not healthy.
Yes, I think there's going to be a value there.
It's just trouble.
They were a
It's
value
just
last
trouble.
year, too. Eh?
Yeah, Pagano.
Yeah.
I think if Andrew Luck's not back, they may be
Who?
picking first in the NFL draft.
And Chuck
They're in
Pagano.
too competitive a division with Houston and Jacksonville and Tennessee. I think that it's just trouble across the board. And I won't even want to start T.Y. Hilton. Yes, he finished 25th, and that was on the back of, 2 games?
Yeah.
Yes.
Those were nice games, though.
Great games.
Good, if you can pick them. All right, second storyline I want to talk about, we're going to call it New Kids on the Block, right? We're talking...
Yes.
Someone has to know that.
I know it.
You're the old kid on the block now.
Hey, NKOTB for life.
Wow. Scoot back. We're talking about new quarterbacks. So we're talking about the 5 first-round rookie quarterbacks, and then the quarterbacks that switched teams. So you had Kirk Cousins, Pat Mahomes is a starter this year, Case Keenum, Alex Smith switched teams. I think that this is one of the bigger storylines of fantasy in 2018. Which quarterback for you makes the biggest impact on their new team's fantasy prospects? Because that's what we're paying attention to. I don't care if they're going to win or just be better.
All right.
I don't even think
All right.
Sam Darnold's in camp yet.
That was Sam.
That was
Yeah.
Sam?
Yeah,
Got
Sam's
a
up
lot
in the
of time
balcony.
on his hand.
Thanks, Sam.
Thanks for coming out. Nice to meet you.
But who makes the biggest difference fantasy-wise?
I'm going to let the Foot Clan in on a little.
What did I say?
No, this is behind the scenes.
Okay.
And I'm going to pass it right to him because Jason has a quarterback written down here, and I can see a little bit of his argument, except his argument is words.
Yeah, that's kind of my specialty, Mike.
So I hope he has something
So your
up his
notes,
sleeve.
your notes are words.
Words. Yeah.
Oh.
Thank you. Yeah, look, my quarterback that's making the biggest improvement for their team is Case Keenum. Case Keenum, and if you've listened to
They're laughing because he didn't.
Yeah. Case Keenum
You already won.
is a good quarterback, which is a compliment to the fact that you beat him.
That does work in their favor.
It does work in their favor. He is a good quarterback. When we thought he was a poor quarterback, he was playing for Jeff Fisher. Everyone is a poor quarterback playing for Jeff Fisher.
Yeah, even Nick Foles, am I right?
Right?
Am I right? I can do it too.
So I believe look, in college football history, he is the #1 all-time leader in yards. He is also the #1 all-time leader in touchdowns. The guy doesn't suck. But last year, Brock Osweiler, Trevor Siemian, they did nothing for the Denver Broncos offense. So I think Demaryius Thomas, Emmanuel Sanders, I even think Cortland Sutton actually might get play towards the end of this season, as well as the Freeman at running back. I think that Case Keenum makes a huge difference for that.
Mike, you're on board with that too.
Yeah, 100%. That's my guy because the wide receivers are so good. They got fully bodied this past season, and they were not the wide receivers for fantasy that we wanted, that we expect, that we know they can be, because the quarterback play was insufferable. You saw Case Keenum is 20 points better, at 20 point positive in the passer rating. It has to be an upgrade. Meanwhile, some of these others, wide receiver or quarterbacks who are starting for new teams, they already had an impact. So they have to keep the status quo. The pressure is on them.
That's the angle I'm going to take, because for me, it's actually Kirk Cousins, because the expectations in fantasy are so high for all of the Minneapolis fantasy impact guys, right? Diggs and Thielen and Cook and Rudolph, and you have so much of an expectation for him to come in and at least provide what Keenum did. Now, he might do it. I think Kirk Cousins has put up pretty prolific fantasy numbers, things that guys don't generally do year over year. But he's also got a lot of pressure on his shoulders. It's not often that you have an NFC championship team that has turnover at offensive coordinator, that has turnover at the quarterback position. He comes in with, look, if there's one thing that Cousins has done in his career, it's the mental mistakes. It's not bearing the pressure. Guys didn't want him in town. He's made some questionable calls. I'll never forget him taking a knee at the end of the first half.
Instead of spiking the ball?
Instead of spiking the ball.
About to score, take a knee.
So I think for the relevance of all of the Minnesota players, the pressure's on Cousins' shoulders to be what you think he's going to be in fantasy. All right, one more question there. Which rookie quarterback has the highest year one upside?
I can't
Everybody,
believe
every fantasy owner wants to find
there's no
a late
question.
diamond.
It's a clear-cut answer.
I can't believe both of you are on this wagon.
Yeah, we both have Lamar Jackson.
Yeah, Lamar Jackson is going to be look. If we're talking about who has the highest upside, it's not who's got the highest percentage of
Those are all people that drafted him.
finishing well, but who has the highest upside? It's Lamar Jackson. We know that rushing quarterbacks, they score more fantasy points. I don't like it, but it's true. Here's the thing. Let me ask the crowd, because they know this was a local guy. Who's the best running back to come out of college in years, just drafted? Zeke Elliott. Saquon Barkley is a beast.
They don't know how to feel about him anymore.
I know.
I can feel it.
It's tough. They drafted
I can
to the
feel it.
competitor. But who had more rushing yards last year? Saquon Barkley or Lamar Jackson, the quarterback?
I'm not going to go. You're 100% right, and I'm just going to piggyback on it, because what has been established around Lamar Jackson is what excites me so much. They drafted him for a purpose. Joe Flacco has been stunningly bad.
Yes.
I think he's made $112 million, and he's been dead last in the league in a ton of the more important categories, including touchdown to interception ratio. James Urban, quarterback coach for Lamar Jackson in Baltimore, was the quarterback coach for Mike Vick, knows how to use a player that can run the ball and has the dual threat. You have Greg Roman. He set the blueprint for Colin Kaepernick when he had a monster season. So all the pieces are built around him. I don't have confidence that Joe Flacco is going to hold him off. And if he starts, he will be a fantasy force. He will be a top 10 level guy. So to me, it's Lamar Jackson. Who do you have, Mike?
He's not going to start. That's the problem. I get it.
How sure are you?
How many games? Give me an over-under. Give me an over-under. Make it good.
8 games.
Oh, yeah. Hit it. Hit it.
Water bet.
I'm going Razor Ramon on you over here. It's over.
8 games.
Joe Flacco this season.
This will be the year.
No, it doesn't matter. It doesn't. They were 9-7 this past season. They were a shadow away from making the playoffs. They're not making a quarterback change for a guy who's counting almost $25 million against the cap this year. He counts 26 million against the cap this next year. He is the quarterback 100% for this season. As much as I want to see Lamar Jackson see what he can do, his upside is maybe he plays a couple games because Joe Flacco got hurt. The guy who actually has upside is the number 1 pick in the draft who will be playing this season with this guy, Baker Mayfield. We know that there are no rookies who are locked in to start week 1. I don't think Baker is going to start week 1.
Oh my gosh, we're going to make another bet.
Wait, oh my goodness. Okay, hold it. Just save it over there. Here's the thing. Jason wanted to talk about rushing quarterbacks. Okay. Baker Mayfield averaged 6 rushing touchdowns a season when he was the full-time starter. He had 2 seasons over 300 rushing yards. Yeah, that's not Lamar Jackson, but that's Alex Smith. That's Aaron Rodgers. That gives you a huge bump if you're putting up 300 or 400 yards on the ground. Here's the deal with the Cleveland Browns. I took a look at their record over the past 2 years.
I've heard rumors.
You did some counting?
1-31.
Use the math.
1. I'm done.
Here's the opening schedule for the Cleveland Browns. The Steelers, the Saints, Sam Darnold up there, and the Jets are going to take him on. The Raiders, the Ravens, the Chargers.
Sounds like Tyrod's going to be 6-0.
There is yes, and that's what my point is there is a huge chance that they start 0-6, 0-5. Baker is coming in against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. You have heard it here first.
So that would be that Baker plays more than 8 games like Lamar Jackson.
Lamar Jackson's not playing 8 games. Baker's actually going to play.
So that 8 games.
Wait,
8 games.
Water bet.
Do you believe Baker Mayfield will play start 8 games?
Yes. Oh,
Water bet.
All right.
you better bring those flip-flops
cups.
and swim trunks.
Oh,
because
I don't believe it.
You're taking a bath.
All right, so you like Baker. Let's go to this one, the fountain of youth. Let's talk about Saquon Barkley and the power of the rookie running back in fantasy football. That is a storyline that has permeated multiple seasons, right? 2015, listen to this. 2 rookie running backs in the top 10, DJ Gurley. 2016, you had 1, Zeke, which I know somebody down here loves him, is in love with him. 1 person. 2017, 3 rookie running backs inside the top 10. We know rookies are going to exist in that top 10. So all this risk and fear in fantasy football of drafting one, it's not been in my mind for years. Saquon's by far the best opportunity to be inside of that top 10. And to me, he is Zeke plus targets.
Right.
That's the ceiling, is Zeke plus targets. So I think he can be great. I think Saquon is the one you want, and I think that there are going to be others that emerge, obviously. You have candidates in Royce Freeman. You have candidates elsewhere. What do you think?
Yeah,
How good can he be?
Look, Saquon legitimately could be the number 1 running back at the end of the year. That's his ceiling. It's not out of the question. Last season, you look at Shane Vereen and Eli Manning, the second half of last year, he passed to the running back.
I thought you were talking about 2006 for a second.
He passed to the running back.
Not just Vereen, too. Gallman.
Yes, more than any other team in the NFL, and now you draft one of the most prolific pass-catching running backs. And if you look at the guys who finish number 1 overall at the position, they aren't just, goal line, first and second down backs. They're Le'Veon Bell catching as much as a wide receiver. David Johnson. Todd Gurley last year finally got to that spot because of pass catching. Nobody should be afraid to draft Ezekiel Elliott or Saquon Barkley. I mean, nobody.
Don't be scared of Zeke either.
Sure.
Here's the deal. Pat Schumer in town. Here's his offenses targeting the running back the past 3 years. 2017, over 100 targets between Cook, McKinnon, and Latavius. 2016, 97 targets between McKinnon, Asiata, and Adrian Peterson. In 2015, you know where he was. Oh, come on, are you serious? Eagles. Come on, guys. Come on. Are you serious? I'm trying to pander and it's failing.
Jason's the best.
Yeah, fair enough. 166 targets between DeMarco Sproles and Ryan Matthews. They throw to the running back. If you're going to be in the top 5 at the running back position, you have to catch at least 55 passes.
Thank you, Mike.
It's probably not 55, but
it has to be.
Close enough. You round up and down to 55. That's the rule of fantasy football.
I have no choice.
But and nobody out here is doubting the value of Saquon Barkley at this point. So give them another rookie running back who has the most surprising fantasy impact.
Sure. You want me to?
Are you jumping in, Mike?
Yeah, I'll jump back in here because I expect big things from a lot of these rookie running backs. So I was trying to look at a guy who maybe we aren't expecting it, so it's going to surprise.
That's what surprise means.
Mm-hmm. Boo!
Hey, you kind of got me a little bit.
Jordan Wilkins. It would be surprising and yet unsurprising at the same time because Marlon Mack is there. I got really bad news.
He's not good.
He's not good at football.
You're on my team now?
I've been on your team. I've been hiding in the shadows.
Oh, my goodness.
I've been using you as a human shield, deflecting all Marlon Mack takes, letting you absorb it.
I like your take on a good, surprising rookie, but you guys need to go watch the film on Marlon Mack again. He is not a world-class great running back, but he is a very good running back, and I think he's better.
So I think Jordan Wilkins...
He's here as well.
Jordan Wilkins is also he is a very, very well-rounded guy. But here's why it would be surprising, even if I'm not wanting Marlon Mack on my team. He was a 5th-round pick. You have to have something happen. You had Jordan Howard, who's been proven to be an incredible running back, but it took an injury to Jeremy Langford. Jordan Howard couldn't get on the field because of the veteran status of Jeremy Langford. So Marlon Mack and crew, Wilkins is not a week 1 starter, but he could be that second half waiver wire wonder who carries you into the title game.
Somebody has to emerge there. And before you get to yours, I want to say I believe in Ronald Jones. I've looked at this, and I know that you guys do not believe in Ronald Jones. But here's why I think that he can be a surprising second half force, one of the better rookie running backs. I think Tampa stinks. They're going to start the season. They're going to have to lean on the running game early, which may not even be Ronald Jones early. But he's got quickness, he's got vision, he's got burst, he's got big plays. And this is a team that it's not going to go well for them in the beginning part of this year. There is no reason to spin their wheels on Charles Sims, on Peyton Barber on first and second down. They drafted Ronald Jones for a reason. And I think despite the fact that I generally love running backs on winning teams, the opportunity for Ronald Jones will be there. I like him. He doesn't really have competition to me. I don't look at Peyton Barber as competition. I like Ronald Jones.
Yeah, and if you're saying who's going to surprise me the most, it would be someone like Nick Chubb, who we can't forget about, very highly drafted guy, was awesome in college. But the truth is, if we're giving advice, the guy that's being drafted the latest...
Okay, Jason, before you say this...
Okay. You know what happens.
Every time you say his name, a certain thing happens. And when that audio plays, his ADP goes up at least 2 spots.
His average draft position is rising, Jason, so I'm not sure you want to do this.
I don't want to say this. Everyone keep this quiet. But Kerryon Johnson. Oh! I mean, look, it's not even going to be a surprise anymore because you guys listen to us. It's not fair.
Why are you sniffing farts over here?
Sniffing the farts. Look, I just really believe in Kerryon Johnson. I will say this. If Kerryon Johnson sucks, I'm going down in some flames. It is not going to be a good year for me. I have put a very large flag.
Yeah,
right
they've
there.
been a really good running game
in the
lately.
Detroit backfield.
Starting to feel a little.
I don't feel good about it.
All right, you guys are gonna like this one, maybe. We'll call it Too Hot to Handle. The fourth storyline here: the return of Carson Wentz. We're giving this away tonight, by the way. We're
It could
giving
be
this
you.
away
A signed,
if you're interested.
signed Carson Wentz.
But the return of Carson Wentz and Deshaun Watson. Last year, the numbers were insane for these guys. So I think the storyline for fantasy owners is, do you believe it? And how much do you invest in it in fantasy drafts? So I guess I'll start here. Do you believe in the Super Bowl slump?
Jason?
Okay, so no, what do you? We haven't even answered the question yet. All right.
They don't even like the concept of the Super Bowl slump.
Let me just tell this crowd a little thing I just did in our Dynasty League yesterday.
Oh my gosh.
Stop
You're
it.
buttering them up.
You're done right, I am. Because
Don't
I
accept
traded
this.
Aaron Rodgers and Mark Ingram in a second to get Carson Wentz and Jordan Howard because I believe that Carson Wentz is the real deal and he is great. But I've got some bad news. And you're not going to want to hear it. We are hoping he's back for week 1. We are hoping that Alshon Jeffrey is back week 1. You lost your offensive coordinator. You lost your quarterback's coach. It's hard to return after the Super Bowl. And so, yeah, there's going to be some regression for the Eagles. Deal with it.
Don't hurt him.
Yeah. Deal with it.
Counterpoint. I believe that the Super Bowl slump is real, but not this year. And I'm not just saying it for the crowd. I've said it on Twitter a couple weeks ago. I have the Eagles and Chargers in the Super Bowl this year, and here's why it's different to me. Carson Wentz is a quarterback with a chip on his shoulder. He didn't get to finish the season. He got to help carry
Chip in
them
his
there.
leg.
His leg is fine. It's a well-rounded team that is less dependent on one player's super season. Okay? You won the Super Bowl with Nick Foles. The seasons that we've seen the Super Bowl slump, look, Matty Ice had this otherworldly, out-of-nowhere, monstrous, unrepeatable season. Cam Newton did the same thing. Those teams saw regression. This is an easily winnable division. The Eagles are primed. He's got a chip on his shoulder. I think Carson Wentz. Now, that's not to say he's going to throw a touchdown every other pass the way he did last year.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought it up because I want to spin this to the fantasy world. And you talked about the otherworldly seasons. Matt Ryan, Cam Newton, directly after their MVP type seasons, they
didn't take a little end of the season off with an ACL. That's what they should.
Sure, but both of them had an unsustainable touchdown rate. So how can you talk about them and the regression that we saw happen? I mean, this is history.
Well, so that's the question. How good are they really
Yes.
for fantasy owners? What is a fair expectation?
So
Jason bought in enough to say he'd rather have Carson Wentz in a dynasty league over the next several years.
gained
So
a decade.
how good, what should they expect? Where does he belong? And how do Philly fans avoid drafting him in the first round?
It's a fair question. And here's
They don't avoid it. They just lean in and it works out.
Here's the situation. Since the year 2000, quarterbacks with over 100 completions, Deshaun Watson had the second highest touchdown percentage season since the year 2000. Carson Wentz is 9th on that list. You cannot possibly expect that to continue. We've seen 3 players since the year 2000 with a 9+ touchdown percent year. One of those was Peyton Manning. He regressed from 9.9 down to 6.2. Aaron Rodgers regressed from 9.0 down to 7.1. But here's the question. I talked about Peyton Manning and Aaron Rodgers, who are going into the Hall of Fame immediately. Is Carson Wentz immediately going into the Hall of Fame after one season? He had one great season, and And that's for Deshaun Watson and for Carson Wentz. Guys in the 7% range. Or are you showing the socks over there?
Maybe.
Throwing me under the bus. Carson Wentz was in the 7% range. They've seen a similar drop of over 2% to their touchdowns. And if Carson Wentz's touchdowns, if they come back down, you're in trouble for fantasy football.
Here's the analogy I would use, whether it's wise or not. If you're a fantasy owner, the truth is you need to look at this like you're not trying to, it's a solid marriage, right? You're not going to draft him, and it's not going to be like the days when you were dating last year and he was throwing 4 touchdowns a game at unsustainable rates. But it's a solid marriage. You're very, very happy with the other person as long as you don't draft him in the first few rounds.
Yeah, I mean, the best advice we can give Eagles fans, if for like real advice, is probably don't draft the Eagles, because if you're in a league with people that love Eagles, I mean, you're the most diehard fans there are. They're going to be overvalued.
Here's a real question.
If you take
I wanna know.
If you take one, take Corey Clement, because he costs you very little. He's actually a good value.
I wonder if they would you rather win your league without Eagles players or lose it with a roster full of Eagles players?
Win. I heard win.
Okay, good. We got the right crowd. They're here to win their league. Is there a danger to over or underestimating Carson and Deshaun Watson?
Yeah, the touchdown rate. It's coming down for both of them.
So only a danger on overvaluing?
Yes.
You don't see danger on undervaluing those guys. And just the narrative, right? We just talked about it for 10 minutes, the unsustainable numbers.
Yeah, it's impossible.
Can Carson Wentz be the number one without those numbers?
No.
You don't think so?
Sorry.
All right, let's move on. The good, the bad, and the ugly. I'm not the last one. I could be the good or the bad, but I'm not the ugly. All right, backfield battles in 2018.
I'll take it.
Indianapolis, Green Bay, Houston, Tampa. There are a number of teams where we do not know what is happening in the backfield necessarily. That's a major storyline for the 2018 season, because if a fantasy owner wants to win, they're going to have to navigate those. They can't just avoid them. It can't just be hands off. I don't think about it ever again. So what backfield battle to you is the most important for fantasy football owners?
Well,
what backfield?
For me, it's definitely Green Bay. I think that the Green Bay backfield has for a long time been valuable, but if you only look at the end of season rankings, you can have a false narrative that the Green Bay running back doesn't do a great job, because there's been a lot of injuries there other than the 2 seasons with Eddie Lacy where he was great. But if you look at last season and you see so Ty Montgomery starts, he's on fire. He's a top 5 back. He's great those first 3 weeks. Later, when he comes back, if you didn't remember, had a top 10 week in those 2 games that he played. Jamal Williams, he had a stretch where it was like, okay, Ty Montgomery got injured, you're up. And then, Aaron Jones had a stretch. But between those three guys, there were 8 top 12 running back finishes in Green Bay. That's great. For a frame of reference here, LaShawn McCoy, he had 7. Kareem Hunt only had 7. Leonard Fournette only had 6 top 12 finishes. Green Bay is going to be a super valuable backfield. It's just...
You follow the offense, and that's what I lean Green Bay as well, just because you want the most valuable offense for somebody to emerge out of.
Agreed.
You're on the Green Bay train? Okay, so...
Next question.
Which backfield will keep you frustrated all season long?
Green Bay.
Did you answer Green Bay as well? Both of them?
Yeah, because...
The most important and the most frustrating.
Because the best running back on the team is suspended for 2 weeks to start the season, Aaron Jones. That's going to lead to Ty Montgomery getting an opportunity. But his body just cannot hold up to being a running back, no matter how much they want him to be a running back, or no matter how much he wants to be a running back. He's going to break down, and then they'll probably give Jamal Williams another shot because Aaron Jones screwed up, did stupid stuff off the field, and eventually Aaron Jones will come in and be the best running back on the team.
Yeah, for me, I'm picking the Oakland Raiders. I think it's going to be super frustrating all year because I follow bad coaches. Like when I look at the past and I say,
I'm so confused.
So here, when I look at frustrating backfields that aren't because of injury.
Why do you follow them?
For this question, I'm saying when you want to look at who's going to be a frustrating guy to own, it's always because there's the dumb freaking coach that is a curmudgeon-y old monster and won't look at analytics and won't get the right guy. And
Tell us what you really think. My goodness.
And that's Greg Olson. And the offensive coordinator for the Raiders. So look, if they give Marshawn Lynch the ball 250 times, they're going to be happy. It's not going to happen. Doug Martin's going to be involved. Jalen Richard might be involved. I mean, it's going to be frustrating.
Okay, all right. My inference that I got out of that, I didn't know you were going Greg Olson. Mm-hmm. I thought you were going John Gruden. And while I know the belief amongst all of us isn't there for John Gruden, he's traditionally thought of as a good coach.
John Gruden could absolutely be a great coach. We haven't seen it in a long time, but Greg Olson cannot.
Okay. He spells his name too incorrectly.
Exactly.
Apparently. It's funny, when I thought about what backfield would frustrate me the most, I was surprised at the answer I came up with, and I actually thought it was Carolina.
I love it.
Because as a fantasy owner, when you're on the 2-yard line and you own Christian McCaffrey and you know your odds of him getting the ball over C.J. Anderson or Cam Newton, or you're the Cam Newton owner, or you're the C.J. Anderson owner, you just don't know who's going to score week to week. So I think it will be frustrating because this happened with Jonathan Stewart a lot of the time when you owned him in that backfield. It was like, okay, this is a Cam game. We're just going to give it to Cam on the goal line. You don't know what the reason is. It's just today you don't get fantasy points.
It's not just those variables. I mean, you're playing a full, intense game of D&D. You got to roll those dice. At first, you got to hit that Christian McCaffrey's even going to be on the field when they get to the 2. You're like, okay, I got it. I'm safe.
Yeah.
12. Is he going to get the ball? Snake eyes, you're out. Yeah. Because Cam Newton runs it in himself. I mean, there are so many variables. I know the Christian McCaffrey hype.
I still have bad Mike Tolbert dreams.
It's real. It is exploding. We're getting even more hype train blowing over. It's rolling through the... Oh, is it coming? It's coming.
I wonder how loud that is.
It's coming down the track for Christian McCaffrey. And C.J. Anderson is going to make a lot of people sad because no one in fantasy wants to believe in Anderson, and he's coming with dub fingers for all the Christian McCaffrey owners.
All right, so which of those backfield battles produces or has the highest chance to give you a top 10 running back?
I'll hold my answer because it's gross.
You know, I agree.
Oh, no, it is gross.
It is.
I hadn't looked at it.
Here's the truth. It is gross, but I am changing mine to yours as well. And here's why. I can kind of make a little bit of the case, so I'll just lead with the gross. While Green Bay, I think, is the most powerful, your argument of it could still be messy there. So the highest percentage of getting a top 10 running back has to be from a guy who gets the workload by himself. And if Deonta Foreman starts on the pup, Lamar Miller, he's gonna get the work. And here's the thing. He was a top 12 running back when Deshaun Watson was playing. You saw it last year.
I have some of his highlights. Do you want me to play them?
He's only 26 years old.
I can actually give you... Do you want some highlights?
Yeah.
He's running down the field. Oh, he's running to the offensive line again.
It's a top 10 running back.
All right,
you know,
so
the reality is it's annoying to concede Lamar Miller's opportunity. I just don't want to do it. I feel like it's not fair. And I would say Green Bay, because I believe Aaron Jones has the ability to be that if he gets enough of the workload.
And I don't want my talk here of Green Bay, of me believing they will be frustrating. You still have to take the shot. You have to draft one of these guys later on. Get some skin
If you're
in that
making
game.
me draft Lamar Miller, I get to draft Green Bay running back.
So that's the concession. You got to get Lamar Miller and then one of the Green Bay, and then you just feel really, really gross about your entire roster. Fantastic.
All right, we have the final storyline I want to talk about on today's show, which will be, right after that, we'll do the mailbag.
All right.
So be ready. We'll get Brandon up here. We'll answer some questions. Live mailbag. This will be the show that releases on Saturday, by the way. So the Philly show is the Saturday show. Here's the final point. We'll call it, it's hard to say goodbye. Okay? Fantasy contributors, the careers are coming to an end. Sunsetting players that, it's time to say goodbye. Last year, it happens every year. Eric Decker, farewell.
Yeah.
Brandon Marshall, au revoir. Jeremy Macklin.
What language do you got lined up?
That's all I know. So there were several last year. DeMarco Murray.
Yeah. Goodbye.
Anybody draft him?
Goodbye.
So who's the guy this year that it's time to say goodbye, Mike? It's time to say farewell.
Well, we got to start with me. Okay. I need a temperature check because the guy who we're saying goodbye to is LeGarrette Blount. Do we still like him here? All right, we're good. We're good. I'm safe.
Totally indifferent.
LeGarrette Blount, Philadelphia, they did it right with LeGarrette Blount. He was fantastic for your team, but you knew that you had to move on. He's going to be turning 32, a running back, turning 32. He's moved over to Detroit, and how did they reward him for his new contract?
Yeah, Super Bowl champion.
They traded up in the second round for his replacement, whose ADP is about to go up. Carry on, another two
He's
spots.
now in the third round, Jay. I'm sorry.
See, we got to stop hitting that drop.
But LeGarrette Blount, we loved you, but enjoy.
It's time to say goodbye.
Yeah, you got to ride off into the sunset. You're a hero.
So by extension,
champion.
you do like Kerryon Johnson.
Oh. Yes.
Of course I like Kerryon Johnson.
Yes.
Stop it.
I thought about some different players. I would so love to say Lamar Miller in this segment. I
was-
wish he didn't have such an opportunity. I'm actually going to say, I'm going to pick a player that's going to Baltimore to die. I know you don't like it. It's Michael Crabtree.
Boo! Yeah.
We love him.
Yeah.
We all love Michael Crabtree. When did that happen? Did you own him last year? Then you should not like him.
What do they love him. He put up 0 against them.
That's true. He's entering his 9th season. He saw a major decline last year. 44 fewer targets, 31 fewer receptions, 400 fewer yards. The only glimmer of hope was his touchdown totals. And then he shipped out of town for Jordy Nelson, who, by the way, might be mentioned in a second. His catch percentage was down. His yards per reception was down. He was 7th in drops in the NFL. There are enough metrics to make me say, boy, I really hope he goes and pairs up with Joe Flacco. That's going to get his career on track. Worked for Jeremy Macklin.
But I thought it was Lamar Jackson playing 16 games.
Oh!
8 games. 8. And he's going to run. So I think it's I think Michael Crabtree, you won't be talking about him as a draftable asset next year.
Yeah, look, one of the reasons that I can get behind that is we've discussed this on the show before. When free agent wide receivers change teams, there's no guarantee they're going to do poor. Alshon Jeffrey was great last year.
I was going to say, that's the exception, not the rule.
But usually, there's a bump there. There's a hurdle. Terrell Pryor obviously sucked. Pierre Garçon, he got injured. Jeremy Macklin, Eric Decker switched teams last year in an older
they're all
age.
trying to grab onto another couple paychecks, and they don't have it anymore.
And so we saw Jordy Nelson last year in his age 32 season lose a Hall of Fame quarterback, and he was worthless. He didn't even get 10 yards of reception. He is now 33, changing teams, getting Derek Carr.
You know what the truth
C'est
is?
la vie.
Here's the truth. If Devontae Adams wasn't so good during the time that Rodgers was out, I don't know if we doubt Jordy Nelson. We just say, oh, man, nobody could throw the football. But Adams sustained production where Jordy disappeared.
And Jordy had 88 targets. He didn't do much with those targets. So I think he's lost a step.
All right. It is time for our live mailbag.
Warm up them pipes.
Warm your pipes up. We're going to invite Brandon, Marion Lee back up here. We're going to grab her a mic and a seat. We're going to do a live mailbag. If you are one of the people selected to ask a question, there is a microphone right up here. So if you have the special bracelet, come up and get in the line. She will unravel the microphone and come sit with us. And so are you ready to deliver?
Oh, we're standing up. There we go.
Well, I told them if they have a question to get up. So. But we can all stand up.
Oh.
You guys ready? You have to beat Minneapolis and Dallas.
That's a fair point. Dallas brought it.
Fair point. Here we go.
Mailbag.
It's pretty good. Someone spit on me. I got a little bit on the face.
I lost a couple beard hairs.
New York is on notice.
Welcome Welcome up here, Brandon. Let's go. First question. Let's hit it.
A sailor.
Oh.
Gentlemen.
Oh, we got
do we
this
need to turn it
microphone
on? Do we need some assistance in the front? Try it again.
Just try and talk. Oh, I can. Are you whispering?
Are you whispering?
Talk very loudly.
All right, we were having technical difficulties.
We'll repeat that one while we figure it out. So what's your question?
So, thanks. First of all, thanks for coming out to Philadelphia, home of the Super Bowl champions.
You got it.
And Captain Sink here. I want to thank you guys for everything else.
Hey.
Good to see you guys.
Long
right?
time Foot Clan member.
All right, so here we go. We got a little bit of a sophomore question for you. We've got this year. We've got total of five RBs going in the first and second round with ADP. And what we're looking for here is Super Camario, Hunt, Fournette, Cook, McCaffrey. Which one of these things you guys think this is fool's gold? Which one of these guys should the captain not sail with this year?
Give me the five names again.
All right, so we got Camario.
Yeah.
Right. We got Hunt. We got Fournette, Cook, and McCaffrey.
Well, I kind of already answered the question when Christian McCaffrey was brought up, but he's the one who, out of that list, I am the most concerned about.
Skeptical about?
The targets are going to be there, but he was not consistent this past year. His splits when Greg Olsen actually played were poor. Now, it's very, very small sample size. Was that because he was a rookie finding his way, or is that because Cam Newton loves Greg Olsen and he soaks up targets when he plays? So Christian McCaffrey is the guy I'm out on of
These
that list.
questions are always difficult because they're being drafted there for a reason, and yet you know from history that one or two guys are not worth sailing with through the whole season. So you have to pick somebody for a reason. I still throw Dalvin Cook out there because I don't know that the workload for Dalvin Cook will sustain the expectations. Maybe Latavius Murray is more involved simply to keep Dalvin Cook fresh. What do you guys think?
Go ahead, Brandon.
I agree with you about Christian McCaffrey. C.J. Anderson was one of only a handful of running backs that had over 1,000 rushing yards last year. And it was probably one of the quietest 1,000 rushing yards season of all time.
So quiet they said goodbye.
Yeah, they were like, bye. But I think there's a possibility he does it again. So there's just no floor for Christian McCaffrey if he doesn't have any rushing yards as a running back. He still is a running back, right?
Yeah, I want to answer someone other than Christian McCaffrey because everybody's saying Christian McCaffrey, but I have to just answer what I believe is the truth, which is Christian McCaffrey.
Wow.
I believe in Norv Turner I believe in his history, his long history of using a bell cow back.
So long.
I mean, he's always, until the injury to Adrian Peterson, he's given someone all the work. But I also don't like when running backs gain weight, when they put it on and slow down. And, that's the big news around Carolina is like, oh, he's bulking up. And I'm hearing, oh, he's slowing down.
Right.
That's not good. All right.
All right, does Jay Grizz agree?
Yeah.
Jordan Howard, first round pick.
Next question.
Thank you for your question, Captain.
Hey, everyone. My name is Dave from
Hey, Dave.
Baltimore.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you as well. Hey, everybody. So my question is, have we tilted a little bit too far on wide receivers based on the poor performance last year, similar to the way the community did with running backs a couple years ago?
Yes and no.
Always. The question was, have we swung the pendulum too far on wide receivers?
I mean, when I say yes and no, the reason I say that is because, yes, we are not giving wide receivers their due. They will absolutely bounce back. They will score more. But no,
they've had a meeting and they've decided.
Well, the NFL is going. I mean, it's a passing league now. They want more points, and so it's going to come back to the wide receivers. The problem is, Brandon? Did you get to see this picture of Josh Gordon?
Yes.
We've all seen it.
Yeah. But the truth is, because of that trend, if you go in a draft and you're not going full zero, running back where you're planning on just taking pass-catching running backs at the end, you're going to be in trouble because everyone is going so running back heavy right now. If you want a good running back, and I do, then you have to usually we zig when people zag, but when I try to do that in this year in mock drafts, I just end up with really crappy running backs. I don't like it.
Go ahead, Brandon.
I actually have a passionate take on this that you guys probably haven't heard. First of all, last year wasn't about the wide receivers not being good. It was about the quarterbacks all getting injured, okay? Look around the Drew Stantons of the world, Deshaun Kaisers that were like in and out and all this other stuff. It was a really down year for quarterbacks as well, but we don't notice it because they score a ton of points and who cares, right? And we just switch them out and so no one cares. If Aaron Rodgers is still healthy. There are major, Deshaun Watson, Carson Wentz, all of these people affected wide receivers disproportionately. So it will go up, first of all. Second of all, I have zigged when people have zagged, but what I do is I take those bell cow rookies, the Royce Freemans, the Ronald Jones, whatnot. I take them a little early, like the 4th or 5th round, as opposed to waiting a little bit. And then I also take those pass catchers. But I think you can do it this year. But again, I just think that we have gone too far and not actually, because we don't point out the source of the problem, which was quarterback play.
And I agree. I think that the wide receivers are going to bounce back. The situation for the first round is there are more than a handful of these elite level, at least the perceived level of running back. We all want a top 5 pick because Gurley, Lev Bell, Zeke, David Johnson, and Kamara. But then we got Saquon Barkley in there. We got Melvin Gordon in there. Depending on your opinion, you have Kareem Hunt and Leonard Fournette in there as well. So when I'm at the top of the first round, I still want that elite running back. But I completely agree that people are bailing on the value of guys like Odell Beckham. They're bailing way too soon and forgetting how good they have actually been for fantasy.
Good question.
Thank you, sir.
Next question.
Holla, ballas.
Holla.
This is a man in a beer shirt drinking a beer.
You know it. And Brandon, thank you for joining us this evening.
Oh, well, thanks for having me.
So I do have to give half a question, half a humble brag.
Oh.
I was able to flip Kareem Hunt in a keeper league, full point PPR. Kareem Hunt would be in the first round. For Michael Thomas.
Michael Thomas?
Michael Thomas?
In the 8th round.
Whoa.
Managed to flip that. But I'm also keeping Kareem Hunt in the 9th.
Wait.
Yes, correct. But am I way too in on the Saints? Or should I try to flip Michael Thomas into a trade? Or just sit here and brag about
Have another beer.
I love the top. Did you mean Kamara?
Alvin Kamara, sorry.
Okay, because you said you traded Kareem Hunt and you were also keeping.
No.
Really
I'm keeping
impressive.
Kamara and Thomas.
Okay,
Okay.
you're keeping Kamara. Okay. We've
So
got
for an 8th and a 9th.
For an 8th and a 9th.
Yeah, have another
yes.
beer.
the story is.
You're sitting pretty. You're sitting pretty.
But congratulations, and no, I'm not moving.
No.
I'm taking that value is absolutely extreme. I've expressed my deep love for Michael Thomas this year, and
You don't have a poster of him.
well because I ran out of money. Do you know how much he costs per muscle? It's ridiculous. FedEx is out of control.
Other side, humble brag. Does it help that I'm drafting 102?
It does
Oh.
help.
Congratulations, my friend. And you take
Thank you. Yeah, sit
take
pretty.
I don't think any of us would disagree. You take
No.
the value with the Saints.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Right here. What's up? How you doing?
I want to thank you guys for my first Foot Clan title.
You repping the shirt too. I like it.
Ah, dang right. So my question is, what's your favorite way to use the UDK during your live draft? When you're trying to, sneak it around your friends. I mean, I downsell, you got the Excel sheets, and I use it that way, and use the tiered stuff. But am I doing it right?
Sure, yeah. For me, it's funny because there's all the tools in the world, and you can. There's so many parts of the Ultimate Draft Kit that you can read, have fun, research. But when it comes time for your draft, I love there's something so. I can't get rid of the paper. I can't do it. I want the printable cheat sheet, and I want to be able to look at every player at a glance across all the tiers. And that's the only tool that I basically use on draft day, other than I'll probably have my computer up with some tabs open to strength of schedule or other reports that are in there. But for the most part, it's one sheet of paper.
Yeah, I like having the paper. I like having the Sharpie marking off the names, and then I know when I get a little dizzy, that's when I draft a quarterback. So that's my favorite part too.
Hey,
Thank you for your question.
Thank you. Have a good one.
My lady and gentlemen, thank you so much for coming to Philadelphia.
Oh, thank you.
My question,
What's your name?
You got to talk in the mic.
Jeff from Philadelphia.
Hey, Jeff.
Would your last name be Haynes?
It would be.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, we'll get to that.
All right. So my question is about Mr. Devin S. Scrumptious.
Oh, hold on.
All right.
Brandon was not ready for that.
Great question. Already.
Have a good night.
What have I gotten myself
I love
into?
him.
Why?
So in looking at your rankings, the Andy and Mike part of me likes his youth and what he was able to show last season, but the slightly more disturbing Jason part of me sees all of these new and returning weapons in Carolina and think he'll get squeezed out. What is your confidence level in Mr. Scrumptious, both for 2018 and as a potential long-term asset?
And
Not as
just so
scrumptious.
just so you know, Brandon, that's Devin Funchess. That is Devin S.
I
Scrumptious.
gathered. Yes, thank you.
Go ahead. I think Jason should be the one who has to answer this question.
I'm actually curious Brandon's thoughts first.
Sure.
And
Yeah,
So
do you like Devin?
This is interesting. This comes down to a concept that I have and we all should have. At a certain point, everyone is value. Even if you don't like the
Even
player.
Jason.
Yeah.
I was going to say even Kelvin Benjamin.
Yes.
Are you sure?
I
agree.
am. Listen, if you're in an industry draft, I don't think this will happen in normal people drafts, but I was in an industry draft. No, I mean this because people try to be cute in industry drafts. They're oftentimes, you guys have seen them, they're useless, right? The first quarterback goes off in the 8th round, and you're like, that's not real life. That just is weird. So my thing is, I was in a draft where he went in the 20th round, and I was like, okay, you know.
Kelvin?
And I think that Devin Funchess is slipping like that. I think there's a possibility that he's going to be in the double-digit rounds, and at that point, the upside is, what if Greg Olsen never is 100%? I'm not saying I hope that.
Yeah.
I don't. But if that happens
What if
again,
DJ Moore takes a while?
which I think is very possible. And Christian McCaffrey, he's the guy, but if he's only on the field half the time because CJ Anderson's on the field half the time, well, whoops, there's Devin Funchess. So if he's a double-digit guy, I think the upside is there. But if I have to take him in the 7th, no.
It's very good for the show if he stays relevant to fantasy.
We can dance.
We need that
'Cause
drop
we need
in
that,
our lives.
yeah.
Here's my issue with Devin Funchess, and you know
What drop was that?
Oh,
Devin
are we
S.
going back?
No, that's a good point, Andy. Thank you. The thing with Devin, I can't even say the name now. Let's just call him Funchess. The problem is that last year was a perfect storm for him. There was no other relevant wide receiver there. You did lose Greg Olsen. You had your next best receiving option was a running back.
There are wide receiver 2s that get forced into wide receiver 1 jobs, and that is how I view Funchess. Still good, not wide receiver 1
Exactly, and I am a big believer in DJ Moore. They drafted him as the first wide receiver taken in the draft. They used their rookie last year, came through to the rookie in Christian McCaffrey. He is going to use DJ Moore. Greg Olsen is, as of right now, back. So I think that his opportunity, I mean, Funchess had the best case scenario last year, and I think he was somewhere around like wide receiver 22. So, okay. And so I don't see him having an upgraded year by any means. He's going to take a step backwards from volume, from opportunity, and
Sure.
I think he's out-talented now on the field with DJ Moore there.
All right, you hang out right here. People give it up. Jeff Haynes is the winner of the Carson Wentz helmet.
Thank you to Pristine Auction for providing the signed Carson Wentz helmet. You lucky, lucky man, you.
Stay safe in this crowd.
Yeah.
That thing is beautiful. Thank you, Philadelphia, for the incredible live show. Thank you, Brandon. Give it up for Brandon. Thanks to the Troc, thanks to Draft for sponsoring all of these live shows. And thank you, Foot Clan, for making it an absolutely amazing night.
We love you all.
We love you all.
If you're listening at home, we will see you on the next podcast. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the Fantasy Footballers Podcast. Join our fantasy football community on jointhefoot.com and follow us on Twitter @TheFFBallers.